Hello viewers, my name is Gabisile Mngcono from the Buffalo City Metropolitan District. Welcome to the Eastern Cape Department of Education broadcast studio. Today's lesson is on English First Additional Language Paper 3. I will be covering two sections of the paper, Section A, the essay, as well as Section B, the transactional texts. But before I zoom in on the specific sections, I want you to be familiar with the structure of the paper. Paper 3 is a paper that is set for 2.5 hours. It consists of 3 sections. Section A, the essay. Section B, the longer text. And Section C, the shorter transactional text. It is a paper that is out of 100 marks. And you will note in recent timetables that now this is the very first paper that is written so that learners can maximize the marks. In this paper, you are expected to choose one question per section. Of the 3, you choose one essay. Section B, one longer text. In Section C, one shorter text. Now, what I want to emphasize to you is that you will need to revise all essay types and transactional texts, both longer and shorter texts, for you to maximize the marks. Keep in mind that the paper carries the most marks. Of the 3 papers, this one carries 100 marks, and therefore it will assist you in getting the good marks that you want for English First Additional Language. Choose a topic that you understand out of the 3 sections. Analyze the topic and stick to it as you write. Planning is compulsory. Planning is compulsory for all 3 sections. Make sure that you stick to the required length as you proceed with the paper. Now let's focus mostly on Section A, the essays. You are given 8 topics, including 2 topics that are based on a picture. The essay on the picture can be treated literally or figuratively. What you need to remind yourself of is that for Section B and C, you will need to revise the formats. The most popular formats are the dialogue, the obituary in Section B, and diary entry, directions and instructions in Section C. Make sure you understand what to do before writing. Before I move on and zoom closely on Section A, I want to put this on record. It is very popular for grade 12 learners to take paper 3 for granted. I want to emphasize today to you that you need to make sure that before you sit for the paper, as the first examination, you have prepared for it. There is no way that you will know how to structure an essay if you have not practiced it. You will not remember the formats of Section B, your formal letters and informal letters, your obituary, your dialogue, if you don't practice them. You will not remember how to write a diary entry, how to write an invitation, how to write instructions if you do not revise. So you need to remind yourself of all these. The paper itself is fair. It is creative writing. Therefore, you tell your story. So for you to maximize the marks, you just have to tell your story. Target at least 60%. Revise everything. For the essays, there are various types of essays that you can choose from: the narrative, the descriptive, the argumentative, reflective, discursive, as well as the visual interpretation or picture interpretation, if you like, which I said can be approached both literally and figuratively, meaning you are at liberty to write about whatever that you have experienced, even something that you have not experienced. If you tell the reader that you have crossed the river, you can swim, nobody is going to disagree with you. That is your story. Tell your story where you say you were faced with a lion on the other side of the river and you swam across that river in 5 minutes and the lion could not reach you. No one is going to disagree with you. That is your story. Just tell it to the best of your ability. Now, let us move on and zoom in very closely on Section A. The essays. A choice is made of 10 topics. You need to be familiar with the essay types. What is a narrative essay? It's one where you tell a story, as you can see the descriptions there. What is a descriptive essay? It is one where you describe an experience in words, an event or a place. What is a reflective essay? One where you show how you think or feel about a topic, or even an experience for that matter. What is a discursive essay? It is one where you show both sides of the argument. While you agree with something, you are also disagreeing and you give reasons for that. And the argumentative essay, where you support one side of an issue. So when you choose your topic, you must know how you are going to approach it. And remember that the question paper does not tell you that this one is narrative or this one is descriptive. Again, that is an advantage for you because you can just choose a topic and decide how you are going to approach it. When you choose an essay topic from an exam, make sure that you read through all 8 topics. You read them the second time and you cross out those ones that you do not want. Choose the topic about one that you have something to say. Then you start drafting your topic. Focus your attention on the topic you have chosen. Once you have decided, don't stray from the topic you have chosen. Make sure that you stick to it and you understand it. You will be expected to have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion in your essay. And therefore, once you start writing your draft, you must know what information you will include in your introduction, what information will form part of the body, and what will form part of the conclusion. It is very important for your essay to show that you have understood the topic, because if you do not show that, then you will be here and there. Your ideas must be relevant to the topic. You need to show evidence that you have planned the essay. In the rubric, which I will show shortly as we proceed with this presentation, you will see that there is 30 marks that goes to content and planning. So while I am emphasizing you sticking on to content, you also have to make sure that you have a clear plan that is going to make sure that there is logic in the essay that you have written. I have sampled a question paper here, and I need you, when you look at this question paper, to focus your attention on the instructions and information at the beginning. I want you to take a look or closer look at the instruction number 4, instruction number 5, instruction number 5, instruction number 6, as well as instruction number 7. The thing about instruction number 4 that I want to emphasize is the fact that for your work to be neat and to be clearly set out, each and every section must be responded to in its own page. So if you end section A, that is your essay, half the page, do not write section B underneath. Go and start on a new page. Then there is planning that is important, which I have emphasized. Make sure that you plan your essay. When you plan, you may use a mind map, you may use a diagram, you may use a flow chart, you may use keywords. It is up to you how you are going to plan. Your work has to be edited. Your work has to be proofread before it is submitted as the final draft, so that you make sure you maximize the marks. However, now, why I am referring you to number 6 and number 5 is 2 things. One, while you are required to have a plan, the plan must be cancelled when you are done with it. If the plan is not cancelled, it must be clearly indicated as such. That is what instruction number 6 indicates. Your plan must be clearly indicated as a plan, and then you cancel it if you have not indicated it. You are advised to maximize your time according to what is indicated there, so that you do not run out of time. If your plan is not cancelled, the marker will mark the draft, and that way you will lose marks. Now, in this next sample question paper is just examples of the types of questions that you should expect. Remember, at the beginning I said to you, the examiner is not going to tell you to approach 1.1 as a narrative essay or as a descriptive essay or as a reflective essay. That is entirely up to you. So if you decide that in this topic that is entitled, I wish I had known, I will write a narrative essay, then you write one. Or if you decide to describe an experience that is based on those words, then you do that. But just remember, somewhere in your essay, those words must appear. You need to have clearly numbered. You need to have clearly indicated the title of your essay. Then there are pictures. I love pictures. What I love about pictures is the fact that when you see a picture like the picture of a dog here, we can see the dog, the picture. That's the main picture here. But around the dog, there is a background. There are trees behind the dog. There is a grass on which the dog is standing. There is a muffler or a belt that the dog is wearing. You might choose anything that is a visual there to write about. You don't have to be writing about the dog. As long as there is a clear link between your essay and the picture. It may be the tiniest image that you see in that picture which you decide to write about. What I love about pictures is as long as you have a clear heading of what is it that you want to write about, you are able to create your own title, you are able to create your own story, you are able to link the story to the picture that you have chosen. Then you will maximize the marks. Your essays are marked in 3 phases. For content and planning, it is 30 marks. For language, style, and editing, it is 15 marks. And for structure, it is 5 marks. So when we say to you, make sure that you have clear content, don't stray, so that you get the 30 marks. The 30 marks is not influenced by the language errors that you will make in your essay. You are not a first language speaker of English, and therefore it is expected that somehow you will have mistakes. Those do not influence the amount of marks that you will obtain for the essay. So make sure you stick to the essay topic, write in the language that you are comfortable with, but that must be clear enough for the marker to understand so that they give you the marks. Then when your essay is read the second time, the marker will be looking for those errors. Of course, that will influence how you are marked. You may be marked down for language, but that will not influence how you get the marks for the content. Lastly, the paragraph development. At the beginning, I said your essay must have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. That must be clear. You are not going to have those labels. But as a marker reads your essay, they must see this is the introduction, this is the body, and this is the conclusion. Then you will get the full marks. As we move on to section B, which is the last section that I will be dealing with today, we make sure that we revise the formats. I said at the beginning, there are texts such as the letters, the dialogue, the obituary, and speeches. These are easy to approach. However, the challenge is we misunderstand the question as learners. Read the question. I have sampled one question here because I want to show you that for you to respond to these questions, there is somewhere where you need to focus because it is a sellout. In other words, it tells you what to do. The letter to the press. Your local newspaper has published an article that contains incorrect information about a sports match in which you participated. As the captain of the team, you have decided to write a letter to the editor in which you point out the wrong information and provide the facts about the sports match. Write the letter to the editor. So where is the content of your letter here? The content of your letter is where it says, write a letter to the editor in which you point out the wrong information about the facts about the sports match. Then you write the letter to the editor. So you are given a scenario. It's a local newspaper. They have given wrong information. Your responsibility is to correct that information. So the question tells you exactly that. So make sure that you understand. Don't misunderstand the question. There are 3 categories in which the longer transactional texts are grouped. There is category A. You can see the letters. All the letters are there. The CV and covering letter is there. The email is also there. Then in category B, you have your informal report, your formal reports, your magazine articles, and so on. In category C, you have your speeches, you have your obituary, dialogue, and interview. When we come across question papers, they are a mixture of all these, but you are expected to revise everything as you prepare yourself. Let's say now, for the trial exam, if you are preparing for the trial exam, which is the upcoming event, or you are preparing for the final examination where you will get paper 3. Now, how are the longer texts marked? The longer texts are marked in 2 parts. For content and planning, it is 18 marks, and for language and editing, it is 12 marks. In the same way as in the essay, the marker will not be influenced by your language flaws when they give you the 18 marks for content here. So you have got to make sure that as you write your essay, you need to make sure that you stick to the topic, you respond to the question. You can get total marks for content, even though you may be marked down for language. That's 8 marks. Then in the friendly letter, I'm sure you are familiar with the friendly letter. The friendly letter is one address. It has an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. That the tone has to be friendly and informal. It needs to have the address of the sender, the date, the greeting, and the salutation. However, now, as much as the business letter is similar, but it has 2 addresses, it has a subject line, and it has a formal salutation. So these are things that you need to remind yourself of. You will confuse yourself if you don't look at them in advance before you sit for the examination. The dialogue, which has also been identified in one of the groups, in the groups for section B, is very popular amongst learners. We write a dialogue as a conversation between 2 people. Sometimes it comes in the form of an interview. The tone must be formal. A brief scenario must appear at the beginning. But what we need to keep in mind is that because we have limited time, we have limited words that we need to write the dialogue. It is a set number of words as indicated in the question paper. We do not start by asking people how they are. How are you? How is the weather today? And so on. You just go straight to the point. And in the dialogue, you have got to include the stage directions. Your characters must speak naturally. Then the emails, use the normal format for the email. Remember, previously the email used to be 20 marks. Now it is 30 marks, so that means there has to be more words that are used there. An email is more or less like a letter in its content, but now there will be no formal address as in the letter. It will be email addresses, the subject, the salutation, then the actual message. I want to zoom straight to the part where I say, how do you score excellent marks? Whatever that you are writing must have a wow factor. There must be something that appeals to the reader about your writing. For you to maximize your marks, the writing must be outstanding. A moderate response will show just adequate knowledge about the features of the text, particularly in section B. It means the writing is not completely focused. So if you have studied everything and you know your formats and you know your content, you have read the question, then you will have that wow factor that I have referred to. Now, when it comes to the obituary, which is the last thing that we are going to talk about in this lesson, an obituary is very popular, probably because it is something that we come across in funerals in our homes, but the manner in which we deal with it in an exam has to be slightly different. We need to remind ourselves that an obituary is a notice of the passing on of someone known by the audience. You and the audience know this person. So it outlines the cause of death. It also outlines the funeral arrangements. So it is something that happens before the funeral. It gives us the following information: the name of the deceased, the address, their age, their date of birth, their date of death, the place where they died, how they died, the duration of the illness, and the names of their next of kin. That part is called the notice. Then there's the second part, which we refer to as the tribute in an obituary. A tribute is what will we remember this person by? Their achievements, their highlights, their education, their community involvement. What is it that they did that we will remember them by? Then there's the eulogy part, the things that will make us laugh, what we call anecdotes, small stories, tiny stories that make us laugh when we remember this person. Their personal memories, family and friends that can be shared. You should obtain a clear picture so that people can look at them. Then a sympathy message can be included. There is that thing which we always discourage the learners not to do. In fact, it's not a matter of discouragement. It's something that must not be done. An obituary has to be written in the third person because the person for whom we are writing the obituary is no longer alive, and therefore they cannot speak. So our usual way of obituaries in our funerals, in our homes, where someone will say, I am Gabisile Mngcono, I was born on such a date, that is not allowed in an examination. It must always be in the third person. Now I have given you a format of the obituary. You may have seen this before. How do you write an obituary? There must be a heading. This obituary is for this person. Their year of birth and year of death must also appear. Then as you look at the obituary, everything that I said, the first part is about the personal information about the person, their names, their age, how they passed away, their cause of death, where they were born. Then the second paragraph is about another personal information, where they were born, their parents, where they attended school. Then there is also a tribute and anecdotes at the end. So be familiar with that as you write your obituary. You can even take these sentences to start your obituary. The language and style always has to be formal. And the language that you use, we say most of the time you use euphemism, which is passed away instead of dead. Now we have come to the end of our lesson. What I would like you to always remember is that for paper 3, we get full marks. You can leave your questions on the comments. Don't forget to leave the name of your school so we give a shout out to you. Please share, recommend, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you on our next lesson.